I was 4 kilometers off the coast of Valencia when the sky turned on me. One moment it was a calm, blue horizon. The next, an obsidian wall. No warning, no signs. The weather radio had forecast smooth sailing all day. That's why I'd gone farther out than usual, chasing bigger fish near the junction of converging currents. The first gust hit like an open-handed slap. My small fishing boat shuddered. Rods toppled. The cooler holding the day's catch slid violently across the deck and smashed into the rail with a sickening crack. I scrambled for the controls, but a 3-meter wave slammed into the port side with terrifying force. The vessel tilted at a 45-degree angle. I was thrown against the hatch, splitting my eyebrow open. Blood clouded my vision. Mayday! Mayday! I screamed into the radio, wrenching the wheel with desperation. No response. Only static. The storm was jamming the signal. Another wave, this time head-on. The impact hurled me into the instrument panel. Pain exploded in my shoulder. Something tore. A ligament, a tendon, didn't matter. I had no time to feel it. Seawater surged in under the cabin door like a living thing. I forced the engine to full throttle in a desperate bid to ride the storm. It worked for 27 seconds. Then came silence. The worst sound you can hear in a storm. I saw the next wave before it struck. A towering black wall of water, taller than a 2-story building. No way to dodge it. Nowhere to run. I gripped the railing with both hands and prayed, truly prayed, for the first time in 15 years. Impact. It was like hitting solid concrete. The glass in the cabin shattered. Thousands of shards whirled through the air, slicing my face and arms. The icy water punched into me like a steel fist. The pressure tore my hands from the rail. I was flung overboard, into the ocean. The water was so cold it felt like fire. Currents tugged at me from all directions. I thrashed, trying to stay afloat, but my dislocated shoulder made swimming nearly impossible. To my right, I watched as my boat, my livelihood, tipped upward, the bow piercing the sky like a final, accusing finger, and then it vanished beneath the waves. Something struck the back of my head. A plank of wood. I grabbed it by instinct. That single action saved my life. It kept me from drowning as the ocean tossed me about like a rag doll. Time became meaningless. Minutes blurred into hours. The storm raged on, merciless. I was too cold, too broken to even feel fear anymore. My fingers and legs were numb. Hypothermia was closing in like a silent predator. That's when I saw it. A shape in the water, darker than the depths. At first I thought it was a hallucination, just a trick of my dying mind. But then, eyes. Yellow eyes. Not human. Glowing, vertical slits like a cat's. They stared at me from below, reflecting what little light remained. And then arms. Cold, inhuman arms wrapped around my waist and pulled me under. Breathing. That was my first conscious thought. I was breathing, which meant I was alive. I opened my eyes. Darkness. Not absolute. There was a faint green glow, just enough to make out the surfaces around me. I was lying on something hard and cold. Polished stone. I flexed my fingers, moved my arms. The pain in my shoulder. Gone. I touched it, stunned. Not broken. Impossible. I sat up slowly. I was in a cave, if it could be called that. The walls shimmered black, glossy as obsidian. Seawater flooded the floor up to my ankles. Salty. Real. My mind raced. You woke earlier than expected, a voice said. I spun around too fast. My vision swam. I nearly fell. When I regained balance, I saw her, a woman, or something resembling one. Tall, skin the color of deep bronze, with the faintest green tint beneath. Her hair floated freely around her as if she was still submerged, though we were clearly in air. But it was her eyes that rooted me to the spot. Yellow, vertical pupils, the same ones I'd seen in the storm. Where am I? My voice came out hoarse, strange in my own ears. Who, what are you? You are in my domain, she said, gliding towards me. Gliding, not walking. Her feet never disturbed the water. As for what I am, it depends on your myths. Mermaid, Nereid, Undine. Your kind has many names for us. I backed up instinctively, my spine hitting the cold stone behind me. This is a hallucination, I muttered. I'm dead, dying of exposure or hypothermia. This isn't real. She tilted her head, curious, like a scientist studying a new specimen. You are not dead, fisherman. Not yet. She came closer. I could see the fine details of her face now. Sharp cheekbones, full lips, and tiny iridescent scales glimmering along her temples and cheeks. She knelt beside me. I saved you, brought you to my realm when your vessel went down. Why? The question left my mouth before I could even process it. She smiled, revealing teeth. Not all of them human. Because I need you. She moved so fast I barely registered it. One moment she was meters away. The next, directly in front of me. Her cold hand pressed against my chest, right over my heart. I could feel it pounding beneath her palm. Your kind has polluted my waters, stolen my creatures, poisoned the coral and silenced the songs of the sea. Her voice turned hard, sharp as broken shells. I need a messenger, someone to return to the surface world and deliver a warning. A warning? I asked, still trying to piece together reality. Why me? She studied me, eyes narrowing. Because I must know if you're worthy, if you can be trusted. And if I'm not? A question I didn't expect to ask. A challenge, perhaps, or foolish bravery. The creature who called herself a siren smiled again. But this time, it was anything but warm. Then you will never return to the surface, she said. There are many ways to drown, fisherman. Some of them take days. I swallowed hard. Fear now had shape and weight, a stone lodged deep in my gut. What do I have to do? I asked, my voice low. First, you must heal, she said, pointing towards the back of the cave. Then learn. And finally, choose. Choose what? Her eyes locked with mine, unblinking, unforgiving, between loving me or dying. She never told me her name. Perhaps she had none. She guided me through a labyrinth of underwater tunnels, caverns and hollows carved from the seabed like the ruins of an ancient kingdom. We waded through half-flooded chambers, swam through shafts that plunged into blue-black depths. And all the while, I breathed water as if it were air. It's temporary, she said, when she saw my disbelief. A gift. Don't abuse it. Her realm was vast. A network of glowing grottos, bioluminescent halls, and coral cathedrals. Some teeming with strange marine life, creatures I'd never seen, that shimmered and pulsed with alien colors. Others were eerily silent, filled only with echoes. How long have I been here? I asked as we walked through a chamber where giant jellyfish drifted above us like living chandeliers. Time moves differently beneath the sea, she replied without looking at me. For you, maybe 3 days. For the world above, who knows? We entered a circular chamber, and at its center rose a column of water, suspended midair, spiraling like a reverse fountain. Floating within it were objects, not bodies, belongings, watches, phones, wedding rings, wallets. What is this? I whispered. Memories, she said. Her voice had changed, softer, almost wistful. Of others like you. Shipwrecked. Lost. Visitors. What happened to them? She met my gaze. Her yellow eyes gleamed. Some returned. Others stayed. By choice or by force. Does it matter which? I didn't answer. Because I'd seen something. An object hovering in the water that made my blood run cold. A watch. The same make and model my father wore. The one he was wearing when his boat vanished, 15 years ago. I reached out instinctively, my fingers brushing the surface of the liquid column. It was thick, viscous, like jelly. My hand moved through it slowly, resisting. I stretched further, my fingertips brushing the edge of the watch. Before I could grab it, her hand closed around my wrist. Steel disguised as flesh. Her grip was inhumanly strong. Her nails, now long and razor-sharp, dug into my skin. Blood rose instantly. "Do not touch what is not yours," she hissed. Her voice no longer sounded human at all. I pulled my hand back, blood mixing with the thick water, blooming in red swirls. "It was my father's," I said. "He vanished at sea 15 years ago. His boat never came back." Something shifted in her face, not pity, but recognition. Interest, like she'd just uncovered a buried gem. "He had your blood," she murmured, stepping closer. Her gaze flicked over me like a scanner. "He was the fisherman who broke our treaty." "What treaty?" I snapped. My father was an honest man. He respected the sea. She emitted a sound that was half laughter, half snarl. "Your father entered forbidden waters. He fished sacred creatures. He was warned 3 times. She gestured towards the floating watch. The 4th was punishment. A red mist clouded my vision. Fury erupted inside me. I lunged at her without thinking. She vanished. One blink, and she'd slipped through the water like a shadow. I felt a brutal strike to my back and crashed to my knees. "Your father died because he broke the rules," she said behind me, her voice as cold as the trench we stood in. "And now you are here." "This is chance," I growled. "A coincidence." "There are no coincidences in the sea." "What do you want from me?" I asked, rising slowly, swallowing my rage. "What is it that you need?" "I told you. A messenger. Someone who can return to your world and carry a warning." She circled me like a predator might a wounded animal. But there was something more now, a glint of calculation. "But now," she added, "I see something else. A debt. A blood debt. I won't pay for what I didn't do." "You will." Her cold hand touched my cheek. It didn't make me flinch this time. I was beginning to adapt. To the cold. To her. Over the next days? Weeks? Time lost all meaning without sun or moon. She put me through what she called trials of worth. But they were trials only in name. They were torment. Torture. Baptisms in agony. She made me dive into depths where the pressure threatened to crush my lungs. Forced me to wander coral labyrinths where every surface stung and sliced. She sent me hunting abyssal beasts with nothing but my bare hands. Things with needle-like teeth and venomous hides. Every failure was met with pain. Every success with a brief, approving glance. Once, as I lay in the cavern she had assigned me, covered in fading scars that appeared and vanished at her whim, I asked her, "Why? Why put me through this?" "To see if you are worthy." "Worthy of what?" "Being your messenger." Her eyes gleamed in the dim light. She sat beside me, her black hair floating like ink in water. "Do you know why sirens called to sailors in your legends? Why they lured men to their deaths?" "To kill them," I answered. "No," she said, "to test them. The weak died. The strong became something else." "What?" I asked, almost whispering. She didn't answer. Instead, she took me to a new chamber, one I had never seen before. And what I saw there would change everything. It was the largest chamber yet. A colossal cathedral carved from ancient coral, the walls spiraling with petrified seashells and glowing veins of bioluminescence. At its center stood a throne, hewn from a single, jagged slab of obsidian, dark as midnight. But it wasn't the throne that stole my breath. It was what stood around it. Figures, dozens of them. They were half human, half marine, some with scaled skin, others with gills on their necks or fins along their arms. Many bore remnants of humanity, eyes, hands, expressions. But all stared with the same inhuman gaze that haunted me from the moment I sank into this world. These, she said quietly beside me, you would call Tritons. They are the ones who chose love over death. The ones who stayed. I looked at them. You mean, they were human? Once, she nodded. Shipwrecked. Lost. Souls drawn into the storm like you. They came to us, and we offered them a choice. Like I offered you. None of them spoke. They only watched. Silent sentinels of the deep. This is our council, she continued. The guardians of the depths. The ones who decided your world no longer deserved their return. One of them stepped forward. He was larger than the others, with a bone crest running over his skull and arms lined with barbed ridges. His gaze bore into me with chilling intensity. He bears the blood of the traitor, he said. His voice rumbled like underwater stone. The Siren nodded. That is why he is here. The debt must be paid. Wait. I stepped forward. If my father truly broke some kind of treaty, that has nothing to do with me. You can't punish me for his actions. The leader tilted his head. His eyes were ancient, patient, and cruel. In the sea, blood is everything. Debts pass from father to son, as the tides pass from moon to moon. The council receded into the shadows at her gesture. You have one final trial, she told me, once we were alone again. The most important one. And after that, I asked, will I be allowed to return? If you succeed, and choose wisely, yes, you may return with our message. And if I fail, her sharp smile returned, you'll join the silence, like the others. You must find the heart of the sea. I blinked. That's a metaphor, isn't it? She shook her head as we glided through a trench so deep not even the strange glow of her world could pierce it. Shadows swallowed everything below us. No, it's real. But it is not a place you can walk into. It is not an object you can grasp. It is knowledge. She had outfitted me for the journey. Armor made from coral and hardened shell, fitted like a second skin. She had given me a weapon, too, a black trident carved from deep-sea coral, cold to the touch, light as bone. I still don't understand, I muttered. You will, she replied cryptically. We descended into what looked like a graveyard of ships. Galleons, freighters, warships, fishing vessels like mine, all resting on the ocean floor in eerie, perfect condition. Time had not touched them. This, she said, is the trench of memory. She pointed to a ship I knew at once. My father's boat, the very one I'd grown up on. The vessel that vanished without a trace all those years ago. What is this place? I asked. A mausoleum of trespassers, she said. Those who broke our laws. Here, we remember their crimes and their choices. I swam towards the wreck, heart pounding, not from fear, but from a pull I couldn't resist. The boat was untouched, preserved, exactly as I remembered, and what I found inside would shatter everything I believed. I entered through the hatch. Everything was exactly as I remembered it from childhood. The nets, neatly coiled, hooks arranged by size. The small folding table where we used to eat sandwiches during long fishing trips. Even the photo, me and my mother, still taped beside the instrument panel. A moment frozen in time. Then I saw him, sitting in the captain's chair. My father, or something wearing his face. He looked real, flesh and bone, but surrounded by a faint spectral shimmer, like a memory trapped in salt. "Son," he said. His voice sounded as if it were echoing through the water, distant but unmistakable. "You're not real," I whispered, gripping the coral trident. "She made you. You're an illusion." He smiled, the same crooked smile I remembered. "Does it matter?" he said. "You're here. I'm here. And we've unfinished business." A lump formed in my throat. Real or not, seeing him again hurt more than I'd expected. "Why did you enter forbidden waters?" I asked, my voice shaking. "She says you broke some kind of law, that you stole from them." He stood slowly. His movements were familiar, calculated, gentle. The way he used to move when he was deep in thought. "I did it for you. For me. You were sick. Don't you remember? The doctors said you wouldn't live past winter. You were so thin, so pale. I was desperate." He stepped closer. I could see every line in his face, every scar, even the small cut on his chin from that time I accidentally hooked him while casting. I was 7. I heard rumors from the older fishermen, tales about creatures in the deep, creatures whose blood could heal anything. I shuddered. "That's impossible," I said. He chuckled, just as he always had. "Look at you. You're breathing underwater, speaking to ghosts. Which part of your life is still governed by what's possible?" I didn't answer. He continued, his voice dimming. "I found one, caught it, took its blood, mixed it with seawater. You drank it." My knees nearly buckled. I was cured. "You were. The fever broke by morning. 2 days later, you were running along the beach like nothing had ever been wrong." "And the price?" He nodded solemnly. "I knew they'd come. They always do. So I taught you everything I knew: navigation, survival, respect for the ocean. I gave you everything I had, so you could live when I was gone." A sob caught in my throat. "Dad, I didn't come here by accident. Son," he said softly. "I came knowing what I'd done. I accepted the price. And now, you must too." The realization struck me like a wave. This wasn't coincidence. My shipwreck, my survival, the strange pull I'd felt my whole life towards the sea. It had always been leading me here. My father nodded, as if reading my thoughts. "The blood you drank, it changed you. It wasn't just a cure. It was a link, a binding. That's why I can breathe underwater." He stepped aside, gesturing towards the cabin door. "And that's why she watches you. She knows you carry the ocean in your veins now, just as I did. But your journey's only beginning." As if on cue, she was there, silently waiting in the doorway. Her eyes shimmered, not with triumph, but with something colder. "Calculation. What you saw was an echo," she said as we descended deeper into the trench. "A memory preserved in salt and silence. Not truly your father, but not a lie, either." "I know," I said. A part of me still wanted to believe, but the truth had already taken root. "You were cured by the blood of one of our sacred species," she explained. "A deep-sea jelly, ancient, rare. Only one matures every century. He killed it to save you." "So he paid the price," I said. She nodded. "And now, so must you." "But I never asked to be saved." "And yet, here you are, alive, breathing water, healing faster than any human should. That blood lives in you. You are no longer fully of the surface." A chill ran down my spine. She was right. The trials she'd put me through, the pain, the pressure, they would have killed anyone else. But I'd survived. Worse, I'd adapted. We reached the bottom of the trench, and there it was. A door, not made of wood or steel, but coral. Living coral. It pulsed softly, as if breathing. "This is the sanctuary," she said. Only the worthy may enter. What's inside? The heart of the sea. The door opened at her presence. A soft, blue light spilled from within. Together, we entered. The chamber was perfectly circular. At its center floated a sphere of water, suspended in midair, glowing like it contained every star in the sky. It pulsed rhythmically. A heartbeat. The heart of the sea, she whispered. It is not metaphor. It is life. The first drop of water that ever existed. The seed of all oceans. The source. I stepped closer, drawn by something primal. What happens if it's destroyed? I asked. She didn't answer. She didn't need to. The oceans would die, I said, and everything in them. She nodded solemnly. Then why show me this? What does this have to do with me? Because your people are killing the oceans, slowly, drop by drop. Plastic, oil, noise, greed. Her voice broke, almost. For centuries we've remained hidden, hoping humanity would change. But now, we need a bridge. Someone who understands both worlds. And you think that's me? You carry the blood of the deep, and the heart of the surface. I've watched you. You're strong, adaptable, not like the others, not like those who chose to stay. She placed a hand on my cheek again, but this time, I didn't recoil. You could go back, carry our warning, be the voice we never had. And what is the message? It cannot be spoken, she said, only shown. She reached into her scaled skin and pulled out a small object, a pearl. But it glowed with the same light as the heart itself. A fragment of the heart. With it, you will be able to see me, speak to me, show others what you've seen. I hesitated. There's something you're not telling me. Her smile faded. The fragment has a cost. It will let you return to the surface, but it will bind you to me. What does that mean? You will never be entirely human again. Part of you will always belong to the sea, to me. And if I refuse? I asked, my voice quiet but steady. She didn't blink. Then you will never leave this place. You will become one of the council, or feed the abyss. I clenched my fists. All of it. The trials, the illusions, the story of my father, the heart. It had all been preparation. A setup. She hadn't saved me out of mercy. She'd been grooming me. For what? I asked aloud, the anger rising in my chest. To be your puppet. She tilted her head, her eyes glowing faintly. To be my consort. The word hit harder than any wave. Your what? Why do you think I saved you, fisherman? Out of all those who've drowned, all those who've drifted into my currents. Why you? She stepped closer. I've searched for decades. For someone with the ocean in his blood and the surface in his soul. Someone who could walk between both worlds and seed a new lineage of guardians. For what purpose? To rule beside me. To create a future where the sea has a voice and humanity has no choice but to listen. I stumbled backwards. No. You have no choice. There's always a choice. I looked at the glowing fragment in my palm. My fingers clenched around it. You've just reminded me of that. And I threw it. Hard. Not at her, but at the heart. The pearl pierced the sphere like a blade of light. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, a pulse. A shockwave. The chamber trembled violently as cracks splintered through the walls. Coral ruptured. The heart pulsed wildly, its glow unstable. You fool, she screamed, her voice a chorus of many. What have you done? I didn't answer. I turned and ran, swam, toward the exit, pushed forward by panic and instinct. Behind me, she howled. Not in fury, but in something worse, pain. The sound pierced the water like a blade. She was calling them. As I escaped the fissure, I saw the first creature arrive. It was an eel the size of a train, its skin transparent, revealing pulsing organs and twitching muscle. It missed me by inches as I dodged left, slipping through a canyon of stone and coral. I had no plan, no escape route, only one goal: get to the surface. But we were kilometers down. The pressure would kill me if I rose too quickly, even with her gift. I needed time, a hiding place. Then I remembered the ship graveyard. If I could reach it, I might find shelter. I changed direction, swimming laterally, desperately trying to stay at the same depth. More creatures came. Albino sharks with too many eyes. Armored crabs with limbs like scythes. But they didn't strike. Not yet. They were watching, waiting. The wrecks appeared ahead like a ghost fleet. I darted inside the rusted hull of an old destroyer, probably from World War II, and forced myself into a narrow engine room. It was tight, cramped, but safe, for now. I collapsed against the cold metal. Heart pounding, mind racing. The surface still felt impossibly far away. And then, I noticed something. The pearl. It was still in my hand. Unbroken, glowing. But the light had changed, faster now, urgent. And within it, I saw visions. The sky, the sun, the way out. It hadn't been destroyed at all. It had absorbed part of the heart's power. It was showing me the path. But something was moving in the corridor. Something ancient. Familiar. She had come. And she was no longer hiding her true form. She entered the chamber like a nightmare breaching the veil of sleep. Gone was the alluring creature who once glided through tunnels with quiet grace. This was her true self, undisguised. Her skin was now entirely covered in scales, green-black like oil slicks in moonlight. Her arms ended in hooked claws, sharp enough to rend steel. A bone crest ran from her forehead down her spine, and her mouth, no longer shaped for songs, was lined with rows of jagged, needle-like teeth. "I know you're here," she rasped. But it wasn't just her voice. It was layered, like a chorus of drowned souls speaking in unison. "I can smell your blood," she hissed, her head tilting unnaturally, eyes sweeping the dark. I held my breath behind a rusted turbine. The glow from the pearl was faint now, hidden in my hand. "You've done the unforgivable," she continued. "The heart is damaged. It will take decades to heal, but there is still a way back." She stepped further into the room, her claws trailing across metal, leaving deep gashes. "You can redeem yourself. Give me the pearl. Accept your place. Beside me, where you belong." I rose slowly from hiding. "I didn't want this," I said. "I didn't come here to destroy anything." She turned to face me, her expression twisted. "Liar. I saw it in your thoughts, the defiance, the pride. You're just like your father. You take and take and take, without ever counting the cost." "My father paid," I said firmly, "with his life. And I'll pay mine, but not as your prisoner, not as your pet." Her laughter was like rocks grinding underwater. "You think you have power? You are in my world. You breathe because I allow it. You live because I willed it." "Wrong," I said. I opened my hand. The pearl glowed once more. "You gave me this, but it's not yours anymore. It listens to me now." She recoiled, just slightly. For the first time, I saw fear in her eyes. "You don't know how to use it. It will consume you." Maybe, but I'd rather be consumed than controlled. I began to move, backing toward the exit hatch. "You're making a mistake," she screamed, her voice vibrating through the walls. "Maybe," I said, "but it's mine to make." She lunged. Too fast. A blur. I ducked and twisted the hatch lever. It screeched open, and the sea exploded into the chamber. The force slammed us both against the corridor walls and swept us out like debris in a tidal wave. I tumbled through the water, disoriented, arms flailing. Her silhouette clawed toward me, rage and something else flickering behind her glowing eyes. Grief, regret, a memory of what she might have been. Then she vanished. Into the dark. I spun through the currents, the wreckage of the destroyer shrinking behind me. The pearl pulsed in my hand, guiding me with a rhythm I now recognized as more than a beacon. It was my own heartbeat. I swam, and swam, and swam, muscles burning, chest tightening. Then, something grabbed my leg. A translucent eel, one of hers, its body wrapping around my calf, teeth sinking into flesh. I screamed, the sound lost in the deep. Desperate, I pressed the pearl against its slick body. It convulsed violently, then released me and vanished, leaving a trail of red in the water. I didn't wait. I spotted it up ahead, a column of rising water, spiraling upwards like a tornado. My way out. I threw myself into it. The ascent was violent. The current hurled me upwards with the force of 1,000 storms. I was a ragdoll, spinning through a vertical vortex, tumbling end over end. My ears throbbed, my chest burned, my vision blurred. Still, I held on to the pearl. I don't know how long I was inside that upward spiral. Minutes? Hours? But at some point, I blacked out. When I opened my eyes again, everything was different. Light, not the eerie, ghostly glow of the deep, but sunlight. Real, golden sunlight, filtering through blue water. The surface was close. I could see it, dancing, shimmering just a few dozen meters above me. I kicked. My limbs felt like lead. My lungs ached. But the light called to me. 10 meters. 5. Then, pain. A hand, clawed, wrapped around my ankle. She'd followed me. "You will never be free of me," she hissed, her voice slithering into my mind like sea mist. "The blood that gave you life belongs to me. You owe me your existence." "I owe you nothing," I shouted into the water. "My father paid with his life. That debt is settled. You carry his theft in your veins. You are the crime." She pulled me down, her claws digging into my chest, trying to tear something from within. And that's when I realized she was trying to rip out my heart. No, not my physical one. The one linked to hers. The pearl. I raised it. Sunlight caught it. And for the first time, its glow was blinding. "Please," I whispered. "Help me." It didn't explode. It shone. A surge of light burst from it like a pulse of truth. Pure, searing and unstoppable. She screamed. A scream not of rage, but of agony. Ancient, raw, and animal. She was flung backwards, arms thrashing, her body convulsing in the light. Her scales cracked. Her claws curled. Her shape twisted. "This is not over," she shrieked. "I always come back for what is mine." And then, she was gone, swallowed by the dark below. I burst through the surface. The air burned my lungs like fire after so long breathing salt. I coughed, choked, cried, but I was alive. Above me, the sky stretched out endlessly, orange and pink with the setting sun. A sky I had almost forgotten. A sky that had once betrayed me, now welcoming me home. I floated on my back, panting, the pearl still clenched in my fist, its glow weaker now, like a fading ember. But it was there, beating, waiting. I swam, ignoring the pain, the exhaustion, the memories. Only one direction mattered now. Home. When I finally dragged myself ashore, the beach was unfamiliar. Empty, but I recognized the coastline. It was close to the harbor I'd once sailed from. I tried to stand. Agony shot through my leg. I looked down. The bite mark. It wasn't just a wound anymore. The skin around it had turned rough, scaled, green. It was spreading. Transformation, or infection, or both. Panic bloomed in my chest. I needed help. Medical, scientific, spiritual, something. Anything. I stumbled forward, limping heavily. People stared. I must have looked like something dredged from a nightmare. Half naked, soaked, covered in bruises and cuts, my leg visibly wrong. The greenish scales shimmered in the sunlight. "Oh my God," someone gasped. An older man caught me just as I collapsed onto a bench near the road. "What happened to you, lad?" "Shipwreck," I rasped. My voice was barely audible, hoarse from disuse. "Maria, call an ambulance," the man shouted to his wife. She was already reaching for her phone. "How long have I been gone?" I asked, barely able to keep my eyes open. They exchanged a look. "You're from the Maria del Mar, aren't you?" I nodded. "That was the name of my boat. Son, that was 3 months ago. They held a funeral. They thought you were dead." The ambulance arrived within minutes. The paramedics strapped me to a stretcher. One of them lifted the sheet to check my leg. "What the hell is this?" he whispered to his partner. "I've never seen an infection like that." I tried to explain, but how do you describe the indescribable? At the hospital, they ran every test imaginable. Nothing made sense. No known bacteria. No immune response. No pain. Just slow, steady transformation. My mother came. She cried for hours, holding my hand like she'd never let go again. I didn't tell her the truth. How could I? I said I'd washed ashore on an island, built a raft, drifted back. A survival story the world could understand. But when night fell, and I was alone, I took out the pearl from under my pillow. It still pulsed, weak, but steady. Sometimes, when I held it to the light, I could see glimpses of the sanctuary, of the heart, of her, watching from the shadows of the deep. A week later, I received a visitor. Middle-aged, lab coat, eyes full of curiosity. "Mr. Martinez, I'm Dr. Ferrer from the Oceanographic Institute. Your doctors consulted me about your condition." I lifted the sheet and showed him my leg. The transformation had reached my knee. "Incredible," he murmured. "These scales, this structure, there's nothing like it in biology. May I examine further? Can it be stopped?" He hesitated. "I don't know, but I'd like to try. We have cutting-edge equipment, funding, private facilities." Something in his tone unsettled me. It wasn't compassion. It was ambition, recognition. He didn't see me as a patient. He saw a discovery. Will I be treated as a person? His pause told me everything. That night, I couldn't sleep. The pearl pulsed harder, brighter. A warning, or a summons. I got up, unplugged my monitors, dressed in the clothes my mother had brought, and disappeared into the night. I took a taxi to the harbor. The driver didn't ask questions when I paid double the fare. I walked the docks. I knew which boats wouldn't be used the next day. Found one like mine. Quiet. Modest. I powered it up and slipped into the water under the light of the moon. I returned to the exact spot where I'd drowned. Where I'd been reborn. The ocean was calm. Silent. "I know you're listening," I said aloud. "I know you're watching." Only waves replied. "I won't be your prisoner. I won't be your consort. But I also can't live on the surface. Not like this. Not as a monster. Not as a science experiment." I held up the pearl. I proposed a new pact. A treaty. Silence. Then, a ripple. Her voice came from the deep. "Humans do not honor treaties. They only understand force." "Some do," I said. "I do." "What do you propose?" "I'll be your messenger, but on my terms. Half a year in the human world. Half in yours. I'll speak for the sea, but I will not serve. I will bridge." "And why should I trust you?" I opened my hand. The pearl glowed. "Because I have your heart." There was a long pause. Then she rose from the sea, eyes glowing, hair drifting. You are cunning, fisherman, like your father. He stole for love. I negotiate to survive. Very well, she said at last. When the full moon touches the sea on the winter solstice, you will return. And if I don't, then the transformation will complete. You will become a creature of the abyss, no longer able to breathe air or remember who you once were. I understand. I took a knife and cut my palm. My blood dripped into the water, tinged green. She caught it. Until the solstice, then. Until the solstice. I stood alone on the deck, the pearl pulsing in rhythm with my heart. I returned to port at dawn. 6 months. That's all I had. 6 months to prepare the world for a truth it wasn't ready to hear. 6 months to be human, before returning to the depths. To her. To the choice I'd made. As I walked through the misty streets, I noticed something. The scales on my leg had stopped spreading. They hadn't vanished, but they had frozen. A reminder of the pact. I looked out at the ocean one last time, and for just a moment, I thought I saw a face beneath the waves. Eyes, yellow, waiting.